Are you a movie buff? Do you love dissecting and analyzing your favorite films? Look no further than the Projection Booth podcast. Join host Mike White and a bevy of guest experts as they explore the history, themes, and legacy of cult classics, obscure gems, and mainstream hits. Join us every week for a unique and engaging look at your favorite movies. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and tune in to the Projection Booth podcast, available on all major podcast platforms.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Chronicles from the Crypt.
Hello there, I'm Casualty Chris.
And this is Father Malone.
And we are the hosts of Chronicles from the Crypt, a twice-a-month look at the cult horror anthology series Tales from the Crypt that aired on HBO from 1989 to 1996.
Now, in every podcast, we're going to be doing 2 episodes of the television series, and along the way, we're going to be doing some other tangentially related Tales from the Crypt type things like an animated series and a potential game show and some movies that bear a striking resemblance to the TV series.
I like how you say animated series. You should probably clarify animated children's series, nonetheless, which is...
look, isn't all animation for children?
Triggered. You just triggered an entire country. Fuck. Oh my god. So on this episode of Chronicles, we're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 5 and 6, Three's a Crowd, and The Thing from the Grave.
Hello, party animals. Are you ready to bop till you drop? Dead, that is. Tonight, I've chosen a fiendish little tale from my hold of moldy oldies. We've been invited to an anniversary celebration of holy deadlock. You know, to love and to perish, for richer, for horror, in sickness and in stealth, till death do us part. This is one anniversary the husband will never forget.
Episode aired May 1st, 1990. It's directed by David Burton Morris, written by David Burton Morris, Kim Stephen Kettleson, and Annie Willette. Stars Gavin O'Herlihy, Ruth DeSouza, and Paul Lieber. And the episode centers around Gavin O'Herlihy and Ruth DeSouza as a married couple who tries to enjoy their anniversary. However, Gavin O'Herlihy is convinced that his wife is cheating on him with his friend, Paul Lieber. So, Father Malone, what do you think about this episode?
Now, I had no sort of remembrance of watching this in its initial run. I'm sure I saw it, but it certainly didn't make the impact it did this time. This, we haven't watched the rest of the season yet, but this is probably my favorite episode of Season 2 so far. This is an amazing episode. It's not easy for me to be shocked by an ending. This one is shocking. I think the entire episode is pretty fantastically directed, and it's anchored by a performance by Gavin O'Herlihy, who is a wildly underrated actor. And For those of you who are old enough to remember the television series Happy Days with Ron Howard, in its initial season, there was an older brother for Richie Cunningham. His name was Chuck. That was Gavin O'Herlihy. And he later was in the film Willow, which was directed by Ron Howard. He played General Kale, the sort of Bavmorda's lead guy. He's really good in this episode. This is one of the episodes that falls sort of in the non-supernatural. It's more of a thriller episode. Nevertheless, I loved this episode beginning to end.
Yeah, this episode is, I'm with you. I think this episode, I mean, like you said, I haven't watched season 2 all the way through yet. We're going to have a couple really fun episodes later in the season. Television Terror is a lot of fun. The Ventriloquist Dummy is batshit insane in the best way. It's great. And when we get to it, we'll talk about why. But Three's a Crowd, I think, stands out for me as the best thriller episode of this season, possibly top 5 in the show. There's a lot to love about it. I'm not going to deride anyone, but the way I remember watching this episode was thinking, isn't it weird that this episode has a guy who looks kind of like Gary Busey in Gavin O'Herlihy, and it also has a guy who looks kind of like David Duchovny in Paul Lieber, because they kind of look like they look like him. I mean, and most people might even say that, you know, if they look at stills from Three's a Crowd, they might even think that it's Gary Busey, because Gavin O'Herlihy has kind of the same facial structure of Gary Busey. I doubt Gavin O'Herlihy is a raving psychopath like Gary Busey is, and that's not exactly a hot take. That's just reality, folks. But man, it is a gut punch of an episode at the end, and you know, it's one of those things where you know that there's going to be a twist. You know that there's going to. If you've watched any episodes of Tales from the Crypt, you know that there's going to be a twist with this kind of episode, because this is a jump to conclusion episode, and there are a lot of these style of episodes. There are a lot of these episodes where a character jumps to a conclusion and it ends up coming to bite them in the ass at the end. But this episode's kind of gotcha moment is so fucking brutal that once it happens, you're just like, I can't believe that this episode went here, because it went there, but it went even farther. It goes 5 steps further by kind of adding just one little tweak, and you're just like, holy shit, this is really rough.
Yeah, I mean, we should point out that, I mean, if you haven't seen the episode, it effectively centers around kind of a love triangle. That's how it's purported to be. Perceived, yes. The Gavin O'Herlihy's character and Paul Lieber's character, like, obviously, like, childhood friends, and they've gone on different paths. Paul Lieber's character is now like a multimillionaire, and Gavin O'Herlihy is just tending bar. But Gavin O'Herlihy has married this girl that Paul Lieber has always sort of been, he's always fancied her. And now it appears that Paul Lieber and this girl have kind of hooked up, or are doing it on the sly. So, yeah, I mean, that's where we're waiting for the twist. Like you said, it's clear that they are not having an affair, and there's something else going on, but this guy can't get past the sort of jealous rage that he's feeling, and the depths of alcoholism that he's imbibing in order to deal with it, which only makes things worse. So we know there's an end. We know the twist is coming. We know they're not having the affair. But as you said, like it would have been kind of satisfying just to have the twist, be it not that they're having an affair and he's done a horrible deed in the face of it, but what it does is so beyond the pale. I mean, my jaw was literally dropped watching it, and I don't know, man. I just think it's fantastic. I can't remember an episode of the show where the twist like affected me as much as this one has.
Well, I mean, you and I are both married men, so you know it's one of those things where I have a hard time sympathizing with Gavin O'Herlihy's character, because I am not that jealous of a jealous type. But I mean, his character goes further than I think anyone could realistically go. I mean, you could kind of see why, and you can sympathize with his character, but there is a moment in the episode where I would say he kind of accepts that he's going to do something bad, and he starts drinking out of a kind of not a snifter, but what is that called? The thing
it's a decanter.
Decanter, excuse me. For the less refined asshole of all of us, it's a decanter. If you don't know what that is, it's where you pour the alcohol and you let it sit in there, as opposed to just pouring it out of a bottle like a heathen like myself does. And
you gotta let the alcohol breathe. Before you chug it like it was a beer.
Right. Before you chug it like the unrefined asshole you are. So, speaking of unrefined assholes, Gavin O'Hurley starts just guzzling this alcohol out of a decanter, and this is kind of the turning point of the episode where he kind of assumes the idea that he is going to do something that will forever, change his life. And then his friend shows back up, Paul Lieber, and Gavin O'Hurley is pointing a crossbow at him, and I've been practicing. He's like, what are you doing? I've been practicing with this crossbow. And you see this deer head on the wall, and the deer head obviously has the huge rack of antlers, and it's covered in arrows. And Gavin O'Hurley, just fucking shoots his friend straight in the chest with the crossbow. And he's pinned to the wall. It's super intense. It's an intense scene because you can tell that Paul Lieber's character almost wants to tell him what's going on, but he thinks that he's joking still.
You could not imagine your childhood friend would go this far. Like, he's got to be fucking with me, right? He's not going to shoot me with that bow and arrow. Or rather, the crossbow.
Right. And then, and here's the thing. And I mean, obviously, again, this is Tales from the Crypt, so we have to kind of suspend disbelief to an extent. And I'm all for it because, again, this is based off of a pulp comic book. But if that were to happen, Paul Lieber's character would totally tell him what the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah, I think as soon as it became clear that I'm going to be shot with a crossbow, I'm like, dude, it's a party for you. There's something else going on. There's nothing going on between me and her. You need to chill out. Yeah. But by then the arrow has flown. I did look. Here's the thing. I do have one quibble with the episode. I was hoping when his wife finally does show up and she discovers that Paul Lieber has been murdered by him. I mean, he does kind of pin him to the wall like a trophy, but I was hoping he really had cut off Paul Lieber's head and mounted it on the wall.
See, that would have been, I think that would have been a lot. I think that even would have been a little too much for this episode.
I don't know. I think it would have been perfectly in keeping with this episode. I mean, it would have been a shock and then a whole other shock when we finally get to the end.
Would you have had his head pinned to the wall with an arrow, like through the forehead? Holy, dude,
totally.
Oh boy, that's really going for the gusto.
I mean, come on, man. Like, this, it's Tales from the Crypt. Go for it.
Yeah. There's an episode of the show where a character is like literally rotting while alive.
Yeah,
you know exactly what episode I'm talking about, and it is.
I do.
It is as brutal as this episode, and that is why I love it, because I love these like brutal episodes because they're so much fun, because it really plays into the pulp nature and the kind of the aspect of Tales from the Crypt that these thriller episodes can embrace. Because there are thriller episodes like Cutting Cards or The Switch or I don't even really Lover Come Hack to Me is kind of a thriller, or Only Sin Deep is kind of a thriller, that don't really embrace the brutality that they are being given. I mean, this show is on HBO. And, I mean, HBO now, you've got characters getting their fucking heads cut off. You've got all sorts of crazy stuff going on HBO now. And this show really hasn't taken full advantage of the R rating yet.
It always makes me wonder, like, they have to have like a standards and practices just like anybody else, right? I mean, there's somebody at the controls saying, no, you can't do that. But like, I mean, how much, they had a couple of different television series by the time that they did Tales from the Crypt. But like, seriously, who was going to say no to them? So I wonder why they wouldn't go there. I mean, look, they don't need it. I said at the outset that it was a quibble of mine. The murder itself is enough, and then of course, he strangles his wife, and it is horrifically portrayed.
It's pretty brutal. It's really brutal.
Yeah.
He strangles her with like lingerie, right? And he's like,
did he like it when you wore this? And it's like, you fucking nasty bastard. And then he's like, did she we have overlooked the most horrifying line in this episode. Did she gurgle when she comes? Oh God. Oh man, yeah. Oh, God. There were more fucks spoken in this episode than I think any other episode, like, combined. Really became apparent that they felt free reign with the language in this particular episode. And while we're talking about it, let me just point out Paul Liebman, is that it? Lieber. Paul Lieber has the weirdest laugh I've ever heard. Yeah, it's so weird,
because
man.
It doesn't seem like it should be coming out of that little guy's body.
No. or it should have been a much smaller body or something. I don't know.
That weird laugh where he's like, I missed my chance and I never went after her. It's like, oh. What? Yeah, I always focus on that. You're right. That laugh that he does in the car is just like, what?
He does it again on the stairs too when he's like when he's being threatened with the crossbow. He's like, come on, man, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I would shoot him just for that.
Yeah, kill him because of this fucking laugh. Put him out of his misery. Jesus. Yeah, and so then the big twist of the episode is he kills his wife, strangles her to death, kills his friend.
Oh my God, are you actually going to reveal this?
Well, you already kind of did, right?
All right, well, I guess so. It's still, look, the episode's 28. Look, if you don't want it spoiled, skip ahead, give us like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Chris.
So what I'm going to tell you before I spoil the episode, because this is one of the episodes that does not need to be spoiled for you, is if you have never seen it, which if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably seen it. But if you have not seen this episode, go watch it, come back and listen to this part. But Gavin O'Herlihy strangles his wife, kills his friend, and then drags his wife's dead body down to his friend's cabin to fuck her, is what it sounds like.
Sounds like
inferring here, but there is going to be necrophilia, which, again, this episode really goes for it. He opens up the door, the lights turn on, and it's a happy anniversary and surprise, you're going to be a dad. And they're all of their friends are there, and he's got he's dragging his wife by the pantyhose that he strangled her with, and the look on his face is fucking priceless.
Oh my God, what a great ending. Kudos, Tales from the Crypt. Like you've had some missteps this season, but all is forgiven.
Really, all is forgiven, and then some, and then some, and then some.
They have built up so much so much credit with this ending and this episode in general. Like this one makes me happy that there was a series called Tales from the Crypt.
And let's point something out. David Burton Morris never worked on another episode. This was a one and done episode.
That's totally bizarre.
Right. Because again, this is one of those episodes that really stays with you because it's just the performances are great and that twist ending is just, man, oof. It's bad. Yeah. It goes from bad to worse to fucking scorched earth, the ground is glass, nuclear, just it's such a fucking rough watch at the end.
It would have been bad enough if it was just like he drags his wife's dead body into the cabin and it's an anniversary party where all of his friends and relatives have come to gather. But the fact is they make mention throughout the episode that they had attempted or had been attempting to have a child and it hadn't been going well, and now maybe while they're here on this vacation in the tropics that they might start trying again, but guess what? You already did. You were going to be a father. You've not only killed your wife, you've killed your unborn child.
And your best friend, who was helping you, who was just being your best friend.
Yeah, ultimately, that's all he was doing, was looking out for his friend. I mean, look, you know, he was kind of creepily handsy with her in front of him. Yeah, and that laugh alone. Nevertheless, like what? I don't know. I can't say enough good things about this one. This one made me very happy.
I'm going to go with watch it. I mean, this is an episode worth watching, and every time I watch it, I'm always impressed by it. It doesn't suffer from repeat viewings, that's for sure.
I am going to echo that wholeheartedly. Watch this episode. You're not going to get much better as far as the thriller episodes of the show. This is even better than a lot of the really good supernatural ones as far as I'm concerned, and you know that I fall in the supernatural camp when it comes to this show.
Old Crypt Keeper checking out one of his ghouly magazines. Which gives you a little hint about tonight's bedtime story. It's all about the way some guys just die over a pretty girl. But don't worry, kiddies. If it starts to reek a little of rotten romance, I think the title of our nasty narrative makes no bones about where its heart is really at. I call it the thing from the grave.
Episode aired May 8th, 1990. It is written and directed by Fred Decker. Yes, the Fred Decker who just helped Shane Black write the box office disappointment that was The Predator. Stars Miguel Ferrer, Terry Hatcher, and Kyle Secor. And the episode centers around Terry Hatcher as a model who is being controlled by her boyfriend, played by Miguel Ferrer, while she cheats on him with the photographer that she was working with, played by Kyle Secor. I am curious, Mike, what did you think about this episode?
This is a terrible episode.
This is a really bad episode. This is an episode that has so much promise, and it's propped up by Miguel Ferrer, but fuck, this episode is bad.
It is the negative image of the episode we just discussed. It's a little odd that they put them in this order, where it was two. I mean, this one is. Look, it is a supernatural episode. They get to it by the end with no explanation whatsoever. And ordinarily, I'm all in favor of the less explanation, the better for a particular episode. This one needed it. It doesn't make any sense. On top of that, as good as some of the performances are, Miguel Ferrer is always good, and I like Kyle Secor a lot. He was Tim Bayliss on the television series Homicide: Life on the Street, and he was really good in. I like him as an actor.
Why I have no idea who he was. Okay. I know who he is because I went on IMDb and looked up what else he had done, but I had no idea that he was like a Law and Order character, who's on Law and Order because of Homicide: Life on the Street.
Right. There was a crossover between those two shows at one point, I believe. I mean, he was effectively the lead character on Homicide: Life on the Street, which is an incredibly good show. I know there have been tons of good cop procedurals since then, but they're kind of in the wake of this show. He is a really good actor. I think he does a credible job here. I hate Terry Hatcher. She does an okay job, I guess. She's mainly there to look pretty, which she is. This episode is the polar opposite. It is another love triangle where the lovers in this case are actually having sex, and the guy who suspects them is correct in that, but he is a 100% asshole. But it does suffer from every sort of terrible early 90s kind of cliche. I think we can lay the failure of the episode almost wholeheartedly at the feet of Fred Decker, who, Predator aside, I liked his sort of debut feature. He did a movie called Night of the Creeps, which was a kind of a tribute to 50s horror movies with Tom Atkins as the lead. I think that's a good, solid movie and worth a watch.
I would agree, 100%. That's a fun movie.
I mean, that's a fun movie. And then he followed that up with The Monster Squad, which people younger than myself kind of lionize that movie. I kind of think it was garbage. He wrote a bunch of episodes of Tales from the Crypt, and I kind of can't figure out why, other than maybe the producers were looking around and saying, we need a horror writer, and this guy's done a couple of horror things, so let's keep throwing it to him. And it's a mistake.
You like the episode that he did on All Through the House.
Well, he wrote that one, but the problem with look, that episode has two main problems, and that is Mary Ellen Trainor's god-awful shrill performance and a lot of the contrivances that he came up with for that character. I mean, what's good about that episode is how well it's directed, and that's because it's Robert Zemeckis, who, say what you want, the guy is an awesome director.
And Fred Decker wrote an episode that I really like of the show, and we haven't watched it yet, obviously, because I haven't liked a single episode that he's done yet. But he did the episode Split Personality, which I really like.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll discuss that.
Fuck, maybe not. Never mind.
I haven't seen that in nearly 3 decades, so I'm willing to reevaluate. I just remember thinking at the time, not so great. Didn't Joel Silver direct that episode?
He did. Well, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Split Personality is better than this episode because this episode not only shoehorns in the supernatural element in 2 lines of dialogue, which is unforgivable and unexcusable on Tales from the Crypt, that you're going to shoehorn in something supernatural because it didn't need it. You didn't need you needed it, but you didn't need it. Either do it or don't, but don't not even half-ass it, don't like quarter-ass it, don't half-cheek it. And again, it's another goddamn love triangle. And these love triangles are so played out already. And this is only episode 6 of season 2.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's kind of shocking that as far as the order of episodes presented, that they would put this right after what was such a fucking fantastic episode with the love triangle. I mean, it can only suffer by comparison. I mean, maybe sandwich in between a couple of the lesser supernatural ones down the road. I just don't understand it. Like, having said that, I don't know. There's very little to enjoy in the episode.
I'm honestly
racking Miguel Ferrer. Yeah, I'm racking my brain trying to come up with things I enjoyed. Is it by comparison? It might be, because I tend to watch them back to back whenever we're about to record, and had I watched it standalone, though, I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, I watched them. I watched them apart from each other, and it still is not a good episode. It is a poorly paced episode that not only starts the episode with the last 5 minutes of the episode, but also doesn't do anything interesting with it. You know where the episode is going immediately once you see how the episode opens. And Miguel Ferrer is the only redeeming part of this episode because he's the only one given anything to do. He clearly understands what show he's on. And he's having fun being the scuzzy dickhead boyfriend, which is a character that Miguel Ferrer plays great. He plays the scuzzy villain characters really well. That's kind of one of the things Miguel Ferrer was known for.
Yes, he was. He obviously passed away last year. He's missed because he was always enjoyable. Obviously, most people, if they don't know, then they should remember him from Twin Peaks. He was fantastic on that show for just a few episodes that he was on. And I think actually most people would remember him from RoboCop. That was sort of main claim to fame. Nevertheless, as good as he is, as enjoyable and fun as he is always to watch, I couldn't, they kind of stack the deck, or they sort of weight this episode in favor of the young lovers, and I don't know. Maybe it would have been more interesting had they just sort of focused on him, knowing what actor that they got. But I don't know. I honestly can't think of ways to improve the episode in any way. It's just blah. There are so many better episodes of the series. Even some of the ones that I've passed on, I would rather. Here's how much I didn't like this episode. I'll watch The Switch again before I watch this one.
And that's the thing about this episode. Talking about The Switch, at least The Switch has an ending. This episode seems like it just kind of ends out of nowhere. Like, Terry Hatcher's tied up. Kyle Secor's zombie grabs Miguel Ferrer and brings him into the grave with him and covers him with dirt. And then that's it. What? Like,
the end.
There's no wrap up to Terry Hatcher's character. I mean, the way I would have had this episode end, is you have Terry Hatcher, like, a couple days later, go to the grave where Kyle Secor is, and she's crying, and she lays some flowers on it, and then his hand pops out. And that's perfect. That's a great way to end it. It's kind of reminiscent a little bit of Carrie, so you have that jump scare. Would it have saved the episode? No, but would it have kind of given a little Tales from the Crypt, tongue-in-cheek, little bit of a zing to it? Yeah, and that's a perfect way to end this episode, because the idea that she's never going to be able to rid herself from Kyle Secor is the whole point of this episode.
Yeah. Okay. Look, let me give them the episode like one plot. When Miguel Ferrer is initially burying Kyle Secor, like where they're kind of in the grave together and he's pulling the dirt in, like, that's pretty good. I really had to, it was interesting visually to see that. However, that's not enough for me to recommend this particular one. And you're right. And Kyle, and you know what? No, I'm gonna take that one back now, because I'm gonna hit it again, because Kyle Secor, when he comes back as a zombie, the makeup ain't that good, which is kind of shocking given that Fred Decker did make the Monster Squad, where he had Stan Winston making some really good looking monsters. I don't know. This episode is unforgivable.
Well, he didn't look like anything. He just looked like a zombie. He didn't look like Kyle Secor as a zombie. He just looked like generic zombie from Till Death.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I mean, could you have not tied something in thematically that he was a photographer or something, or something that this episode took place in California and Hollywood? Like, I don't know. It was just ended up being a standard. I'm gonna kill these people, and then the person's gonna come shambling out of the grave to get it without any innovation whatsoever. No.
No, it's a bummer, and again, like we've mentioned, Miguel Ferrer, one of the best character actors. I mean, a great actor. We miss him immensely. I always remember him from, and this is a deep cut, Deep Star 6.
Oh yes,
yeah, where he decides to not depressurize, goes up too fast, and explodes, and that's a fun scene. That is a fun scene from a really not good movie, but
right.
He is dearly missed. He's a great actor, and it's unfortunate that this is the episode that he's in because he deserved better episode-wise for this show.
He certainly did. This is I don't know. I'm just gonna keep hitting it. So I'm just gonna skip it. That's what I'm gonna say. Everybody, skip this one. Sincerely. Put this right next to the Switch. Don't watch either, but if you have to watch one, watch The Switch.
Well, and again, like you said, this episode is not only not great on its own, but it really suffers from the episode that it's right next to, which is Three's a Crowd, which is essentially another love triangle episode. So skip it from me as well. And on the next episode of Chronicles from the Crypt, we're going to be talking about Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8, The Sacrifice, and For Crying Out Loud. And we'll actually have an interview with Lee Arenberg, who plays Marty Slash in For Crying Out Loud. That episode, I don't remember it very well, but I remember it being a lot of fun.
I remember it vividly because it is a lot of fun, and he is great in it. Lee Arenberg. I say wildly underrated a lot. I'm going to say it again. He's wildly underrated. I think most people know him as Rigetti in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Pintel and Rigetti. But he's been a character actor kicking around forever, and he's fucking superior in this particular episode. I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
More people should know him as the Human Torch from Freaked. Just saying.
Oh, that's true. Well, that's what you and I know him from.
That's right. So until then, Mike, where can people find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Ot5 Films. I do a series called You've Never Seen about some lesser known or once popular movies that have sort of fallen by the wayside that need a bit of a reevaluation. You can also hear me on another podcast I'm involved in called Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast, re-examining the first revival of the Twilight Zone TV series back in the mid-1980s. I got a couple of interesting co-hosts on that one. You should check that one out.
Yeah, one of those co-hosts may or may not be yours truly. So you can check me out over on Dreams for Sale. You can check me out over on the Culture Cast. That's a movie podcast that I do with my buddy Eric, where we sit down and talk about new movies, old movies, everything in between. If you're into movies, you should totally check that one out over at culturecast.com. You can find me on Twitter at CultureStash. Make sure to head on over to chroniclesftc.com to check out more about this episode. You can check out our backlog where we started right from the beginning of the show. So we're not that far into it yet. So if you want to catch up, you should do that. You can also follow us on Twitter at ChroniclesFTC. Big thanks, as always, to John Kassir for the intro of the podcast, and we will catch you on the next episode.